Hey, everybody.
Hey.
Very cold open there. No music or nothing. Real quick, what we got going on here is we got Christian Harloff will be joining us via stereo here very, very shortly. So we're not going to talk a lot. You on YouTube will not be able to see him. You will be able to hear him. And if you want to go on stereo, you can listen there via his handle or at the JCast network. Frenchie Monette is here as well as Double D. Frenchie, how you doing?
Oh, I'm good, man. I'm happy.
Hello.
What's up, boys?
Hey, Christian Harloff, everyone. How you doing, Christian?
Good, man. How are you guys doing?
Very good, very good. We've been on YouTube here for a few seconds, so the folks there know who's on. But just so you know, since you can't see us, we got Frenchie.
Bro, Schmoes North, how you doing, man?
And we got Double D.
From Speaking of Schmoedown. Glad to be here.
Nice. Thank you very much, Christian, for joining us here. You dropped the big announcement about the title matches between faction members, and just so that there's no confusion, and could we hear it from you directly exactly what is going on with all of this and the decision that's been made?
Well, it's switched because people are morons. No, the reason why it's now here are the rules. The idea behind it was because, and I didn't understand any of the silliness in the group of like, well, if people are so good and they draft well, then you shouldn't punish people. I don't understand that. The whole point is if you're in first place and someone gets I don't know, Adam Collins is the champion, and then Mike Kalinowski makes it, he automatically gets, depending at that point, Collins would be the defending champion still. So that's 15 points that you're just giving a faction. So the idea was to say, okay, well, look, if we get to a place, because this is based on wrestling anyway, we've been doing triple threats forever. And so in order to do that, triple threats are worth 10 points anyway. So instead of just handing over something to the faction, the idea would be, okay, well, we'll put a triple threat in place. And look at someone like Jeff Snyder last year. Jeff Snyder, if Mike Kalinowski would have won last year, right? Let's say Mike Kalinowski and hell, Adam Collins was the champion. Mike Kalinowski and Snyder are in the finals, right? Kalinowski wins. Snyder already won 4 matches at that point. So wouldn't you also agree that Snyder at 4, as he is getting now a number 1 contender match, but you're like, okay, look, instead of just handing over 15 points, let's give a triple threat to Snyder, Kalinowski, and Collins, and then they can battle it out. Now, what a main event that would be at the Spectacular. But because of all the hoopla and people don't get it, it was like, so what we're going to do instead is and I said to the managers, I go, look, you guys vote on it because it's going to be up to you. I washed my hands of the whole thing because my big thing is, had I not said anything at all, and this would have happened at the end, you guys don't deal with the managers. I do. So managers, what they would have said was, "Oh, this is unbelievable. They're just going to get points." Now I said to them in a text chain, I said, "Here's what you're going to do. You guys vote. You guys vote, and if you decide that if you are okay with if this particular scenario, which is going to be rare anyway, but if it happens, you guys are going to decide that you want to basically just reward somebody with points. And if you're cool with that, and you guys all agree on it, then I'm washing my hands of it, and you've made the decision." So the managers, it wasn't a majority, but it wasn't unanimous, but it was the majority, and so that's what it is. However, what it does mean is throughout the season, if, for example, Mark Knopik is waiting for a number 1 contender, Robert Parker gets himself to a number 1 contender shot, I will say to Kaiser at that point, I'm not handing you 7 points for free during the regular season. So here's what you can do. You got 2 choices. You can either Parker can sit back, cash in on that shot after Mark Knopik loses it, or if he decides he wants to cash in on it, we'll put 10 points on the board, and you can do a triple threat, and we'll put together another number 1 contender inner geekdom to figure it out. And so that's what the managers and I decided, and that's kind of how it's gonna do.
And for the triple threat match, that means you're going to have 2 people from the same faction and 1 person not from the faction, right? So you have 2 shots out of 3 to still get a lot more points, but still a shot you won't get the points. Is that correct?
That's right. And when in the case of Mara, you got a chance to win potentially 11 points because that would be a title defense for her, or Parker with 10, or you throw it out. Let's say, let's say Jesse Swift and Amaru Moses battle out. Jesse Swift wins the match, and then he battles somebody else and he builds his way up, Brandon Hanna or Zipper, and he builds his way up, and then it's like, okay, well, those Jesse Swift right now is 2-0. So let's put him up against Chance Ellison. The winner of that will face the winner of that will, I'm just hypothetically 2-0, and Chance is 4-2 or whatever he is. And the winner of that will be in the triple threat. So then, okay, Chance wins. And now we have Chance versus Mara versus Parker for the Intergeekdom Championship in a triple threat during the regular season for 10 points, potentially 11 for Mara.
And this is good because it still gives a shot, but it balances out, right? So you get best of both worlds. You give a shot that have more points and a shot to someone else, so no one can really complain we're all hogging all the points, because it's really depending on your players how it plays out. So for me, that makes sense.
It was totally. And it was so dramatic, and it was such a much more dramatic way to play the season had the managers voted the other way, and the fans just weren't understanding it. Because it's like, imagine if your corruption and you are in first place and you have a 9-point lead, right? And you have a 9-point lead going into it, and then I don't know, your corruption. Well, let's excuse me. Let's reverse that. Let's say that the Stars are in first place and they have a 9-point lead, and Chance Ellison wins the tournament. So now their lead is cut to 5, right? If you give them the automatic points, the lead is gone. However, if you put, let's say now that the Stars are sitting back, they have a 5-point lead. Chance is going to play Adam Collins, and in the triple threat is Bibiani, and the Quirky Mercs are in last place. So now, as a faction, you are rooting for Bibiani to win the championship and win those 10 points. So corruption would lose the title and lose the points in general. So it makes it so much more dramatic. But now it's like, okay, you basically can. The fans aren't going to understand that you could potentially now, what all the fans did in the Facebook group and what the managers voted on. Now I don't want to hear a single complaint about, well, that was anticlimactic. Season's over now. You bet on it, fuckers. That for those people who were looking around saying, "Oh, I don't get it, they earned it." Well, wait when it's not dramatic, and then you'll come back and you'll go, "Oops," 100% guaranteed.
Yeah, I'm definitely one of the people who, and I'll admit, I don't fully understand it, and maybe that has a lot to do with it. And also, as you know, Christian, I'm more into the traditional sports, so that's where my mind seems to be stuck at. So in my mind, I am one of those who is thinking, you drafted well, you played well, you set yourself up to be in that position to collect all those points with 2 faction members playing. In my mind, that's a kudos, well played kind of a moment. But like you just said, I'm like a lot of others. I don't understand it. But as you're talking, I understand that it could be more dramatic if it's the way you're saying. And that is definitely piquing my interest.
Yeah, because imagine you have a Collins versus Burrow versus Bateman. It's like
True.
And that's the other thing that people don't understand. The other thing that people are saying, like, well, if those people earn their way up there, those are the ones who should make it. Yeah, but you're taking out of consideration all of the people that are going to fight their way through in the tournament and win 2 or 3 matches. Those people will also earn a shot. Like, let's say, for example, go back to 2018 when the tournament was going on, and Merle and Andraco got knocked out of the tournament, but played against each other in order to get a #1 contender shot against Clark Wolf in the Spectacular. So that same type of situation would happen, except this time it would put them into the actual championship match itself, and not just hand over points. Because and again, this is also something that there's so much circumstance that has to happen in order for it all play out, right? Like there's nothing that's going to guarantee, as good as Adam Collins is, that he's gonna hold the title all the way through. Plus Chance Ellison winning the tournament itself, or Mike Kalinowski or somebody. Like it's just that it just would defend against just giving away that many points. And it's almost like, well, then you shouldn't have changed the point system, because if you would have, that's your fault. No, it's your fault for saying, well, the championships aren't worth that much anymore. So why do people care? All right, well, so it's like you can't win. You can't win because every single time someone complains about something, if it's not that, it's the spoilers. If it's not that, and it's a testament to how passionate the fans are. And I respect that and I love it. But you guys are pains in the freaking asses sometimes, and I love you to death.
Some people agreed with you, my friends. Some people agreed, and we've been having arguments about it, man.
Yeah, you should hear some of our arguments we've had off camera about it. but I mean, I'm not
sure. No, I love your show. I never, Jay, I don't think I ever agree with you, but I like listening to you.
Thank you very much. That actually, I think that means much more to me than if you were to say that you do agree with me.
True. Can I tell you that you are an absolute crazy person for thinking that Changers should be traded to the dungeon?
Wait, and seriously,
player like you, I was shocked. You didn't say. I would have been on your page, Jay, if you would have said the Finstock Exchange. The Finstock Exchange fits that guy's mold 100%, and they don't really have any strong IG players. That if you were going there, I was like, oh, I'm finally going to agree with Jay. And then you go, oh no, let's put him on the faction with every strong IG player.
Yeah, you see what I have to deal with.
But I mean, at least I control myself better now than I used.
True.
I don't know why, but I just would go insane and make assumptions. I remember one specific time, and you called me out and slapped me down for it, Christian.
but Jay Wade, I am the yin to your yang, bro.
Yeah. So Christian, for me, now this might be a.
Go ahead, Dan. Sorry.
Yeah, this might be like a total improbable thing to happen, but what would happen if, let's say, this happens very often? Like we have multiple instances of this happening at the end of tournaments, battle. Are we going to see more? Is there going to be some kind of control of the amount of triple threats that may happen, or is there no plan yet that has been decided?
Well, you're talking about for tournaments?
Yeah, if let's say Adam Collins does every single division, and he just goes on, and we have multiple players who play 4 matches in a row, and they all play triple threats. I mean, is that kind of going to happen, or is there going to be some kind of control?
Well, we're not going to. Well, it's a moot point now because we're not doing triple threats for tournaments anymore. So it really doesn't.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. The managers have voted against that. So. Okay. It's I read it and I was like, okay, because I was very excited about the idea when I came up with it over the weekend. I said, okay, this is a good way to, and it's also because to introduce the fact that the triple threat is worth 10 points and to get those kind of big wrestling matches type thing. Because if you guys have any of you been to a live event yet?
No,
I haven't.
I were going to go to Chicago last year, but the COVID happened.
Okay. I was petitioning to have it in Canada. One day when things get to normal, you'll probably see me in the New York one.
Well, I've been to Chicago. I live in Chicago, so I've been to Chicago.
Well, the reason I ask is because if I think that people don't, and it's harder to visualize it because we're all trying to stay safe in our homes at the moment. But imagine. COVID's done. Live events are happening. You guys are going to be kicking yourselves in the ass that you were not on board with this thing. Where you could have seen Dan Murrell versus Ben Bateman versus Viviani, the movie trivia put out singles championship of the world live in Chicago in front of 1,000 people. You guys are nuts. You're nuts. I couldn't believe that so many people are pushing up against it. I'm like, oh, they don't get it. I'm like, forget it. So I just texted the managers and said, you guys vote. I said, I gave you an out. If you guys want to go and you want to give away 14 points at the end of the season, you're cool with it. I put myself out of it now because now not one of those managers can go, this isn't fair. They just handed them the points. You voted on it.
Yeah, and and now I don't know. Now I'm kind of disappointed because after hearing you explain everything the way it would have been, now I'm kind of like, oh crap, that sounds really, really exciting. And now I feel stupid that I was one of the people who voiced my opinion against it.
But you see, and for me,
go ahead. I said, glad people are voicing their opinion. I saw some dopey idiot on Reddit who was like, well, Christian, he lives in the Facebook group and there's all positivity there. I'm like, I don't know what Facebook group you're living in. They're clearly where everybody just agrees with everything he says. I'm like, again, I don't know what Facebook group you're talking about. Have you ever seen a post by Davis Park? That guy doesn't agree with anything I've ever done in this league, and I love that. I love the fact that people are passionate. Like again, even like Jay, you've definitely, you expressed your opinion, and I wasn't upset with you at all the way that you expressed your opinion. But it's just a matter of like, this is how it works. It's like, and when you said, oh, they're punishing them, like, well, they're not punishing them. It's not. This is not what that is. People didn't understand kind of what it meant overall. But it's cool for the fans to be the fact that everyone's this passionate and you guys care that much. It's humbling and it's great. But it's also it's frustrating in a certain aspect. And you're like, okay, this is definitely going to be the one that helps, and it will set such a massive spin at the end. But you'll still see. That's why I didn't take it away during the regular season, because I've been saying it forever. I think Robert Parker is the heir apparent. I think that kid is going to be champion. I don't know if he's going to necessarily take it from Mara, but I think he's going to be champion, and I think he's going to get there soon. So Kaiser's going to be put in a position of, all right, John, well, he's got it. He's got a shot. You want to have him do a triple threat against Mara, or do you want to have him wait and see if Mara can hold on? Because if Mara winds up taking, because there's a road, Mara's going to wind up playing either Mike Kalinowski, the Barbarian, or Alex Damon, right? So right there, she gets a defense. There's a scenario where Chandru could get himself back to the title picture, and then it would be reversed, where Chandru is trying to stop Mara from defending twice. That would be a phenomenal story. But who knows? So like, there's a lot that Kaiser would have to think about in that particular situation. But that's why I'm glad I still have that option to put the triple threat during the season.
And if you see, for me, if I look at it at a managerial standpoint, and this is for me why it made sense as well, is every season you want to keep it fresh, you want to keep it interesting, and your team this year is war. What else is more than a war than having three people fight for the belt? You need this evolution to just keep it fresh, right? So for me, it just makes sense just to find a way to make it different.
Yeah, I mean, maybe the other thing that could have been said, and still there's nothing set in stone with the tournaments yet. Maybe there just could have been something of hey, the two finalists the finals will be in the title match. The finals will be the title match, and if that was the case. But I mean, there's nothing you could really change now. We had to change some stuff up beforehand. Like, we released the rule book to the patrons, and we have to release an updated one because we got rid of that stupid timeout rule. And that's going to so there's a few other things we got to change, and March 1st that'll come out to the public overall.
That'll be good. I do have a question real quick about that. But before I do that, for our listeners here and the viewers, please give us a follow on the stereo at the JCast Network, and give us a sub on YouTube at the JCast Network. We do a show, Speaking of Schmodown, live every week on Saturdays.
And also, don't forget to subscribe to Schmoes North. If you're not already done, you're listening to this, and you don't know who we are, go check it out. We do a lot of things related to Schmodown and other stuff.
But yeah, Christian, I have to ask you this because I've actually got you here, and you can't ignore me when I ask you on Twitter, and I'm not going to, I'm just going to simply ask, and then the answer is the answer. The rule book, will it be the full, unabridged, unedited rule book that the players and the managers receive?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. That makes me very happy, which I'm sure you know.
It makes me happy too, because I'm going to hear less complaining.
Well, patrons already received that.
Yeah.
So if at the $10 patron level, that's been received from them. But the ones that's why some of the patrons were like, they knew what the hell what the timeout rule was. So those patrons are going to be a little bit more confused. So it's like when you release a cut of a movie. Like Roka just sent me I saw this years ago, but Rocky V had this like edited cut that was released. I remember I got it like on a bootleg version like years ago. No one had seen it, and I don't know how it got leaked recently. But it's like that came out first, and people saw that, and then like, wait, well, that's got edits in it. That's not the theatrical cut. That's basically what the rule book's going to be on March 1st.
Okay. I have it downloaded from when you sent it to patrons. I haven't read it yet because I wanted to know for sure if it was full unabridged, because I know me and I didn't want to read it thinking it wasn't the whole thing and get myself all riled up, because I'm not very good when I'm riled up.
I'd wait. Yeah, no shit. I would wait on March. I'd say March 1st. I'd say March 1st. You should wait for the release, because that one, when that hits the public, that'll be the one. It's got like, I don't even know if the one on Patreon has a table of contents. We have a table of contents on there. There's a few other things that had to be mixed up, and I think there was actually some notes. That's the reason why we released it to the patrons, because some of the patrons had questions. I remember there was something in there that wasn't very clear, and Bibiani said, I saw one of the notes from the patrons, and this actually makes sense. I think we need to change this, and we switched up something. So that's one of the reasons why we relate. When people are wondering why we released the patrons first, because we wanted to get feedback if there were any notes or anything that people saw, and people did see some stuff. So we were able to change it, and we got it before the start of the season. That's why we were able to change the timeout rule before the Mara and Chandru match happened. So, and that way nobody has it's like nobody's playing with that rule.
Yeah, there was. I think the updated version that you sent to the patrons, it had a table of contents, but the original one that sent out first, that didn't have a table of contents. So I viewed both of them. So just like
there'll be one. And obviously the patrons will get the same thing the public gets, but this time the entire, like, we're going to put it on the website, so it'll be on the schmoedownlive.com. So if people want to go check it out, they can read it there, and then it'll be sent out to the patrons also. That
sounds great.
And let's see. I blanked out. Sorry. I skipped out of work to do this. I saw Jay Way's message. I was at work, and I told my assistant manager, I'm like, you know what? I'm leaving early. Good day.
Good day, sir. I'm looking down here, Christian, and we've got some comments. I don't know. That's up to you.
What's up?
Do you want to play any of the comments from Stereo, or just kind of stay away from that?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Let's play some. We got a 9+ or so here.
Christian, I am so excited for the free-for-all. I just saw that announcement. Oh, man. I don't know how you're going to pull it off virtually, but let's do this.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw it. I just announced we're bringing back the free-for-all. So, I mean, it's not, as far as how we're going to do it, we're going to do it the same way we did it for the horror one. It'll be on a Saturday. It's most likely going to be pre-taped, but it'll be it's going to be crazy, and it's going to be five people from each faction. And I already sent the email out for the managers to send me their 5, and it's going to be good.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Also, real quick, Kaylin Rose is in our YouTube. She said to tell you, Christian, that you've been put in between a rock and a hard spot, and she feels for you.
Well, thank you. She was always the smart one of the show.
Yeah, I cannot argue with you on that whatsoever. I miss her dearly. Here's another message.
Hey, Chairman, just got a couple questions. The first one is about merch. I was trying to get one of the Corruption Championship clothes, but it's only in t-shirt form that I found. Is there going to be a sweatshirt coming out soon? And the second question is, will we know when Kalinowski's first match will be in any division? Because I noticed that he wasn't on any of the March matches. Thanks a ton.
Yeah, sure. I'll give you. I thought I announced it, but if I didn't, I'll give this show an exclusive. Kalinowski will be on the, well, I can't even say it here. The whole thing. So the second pay-per-view. There's going to be 3 pay-per-views in April. The there will be no verses because in place of verses will be the free for all. So there will be a throwdown and there will be a battlefield, and battlefield will end the month. And on the undercard of battlefield will be Kalinowski versus either Damon or the Barbarian in an IG match. Number 1 contender. Winner plays Mara. And the main event will be either Final Exam or Shazam facing the Odd Couple for the team's championship.
That sounds great. Wow. Yeah. I'm also looking forward. This is my first year in a fantasy league of any kind, and I'm in the Schmoes of the North Schmoedown Fantasy League. I'm really stoked. I went through a rewatch of the league in about 3 or 4 days, actually, in preparation for that.
How many players do you guys get each on your team?
12. We're 6 players.
Yeah.
Jay, do you have 12 Inner Geekdom players?
No, dude. I actually have a list here.
I have to see mine.
I don't know. I've got my team roster here. I tried to draft. I don't know. I've never done a draft before, but I tried to do a strategy where I would draft people who played in multiple divisions to try to spread out my coverage. So like I've got 12 players and I've got about 6 in singles, 7 or 8 in Inner Geekdom, and 4 in Star Wars amongst all of the 12 that I have.
That's a good roster.
Somewhere around there.
And me, I exchanged my couple of my round picks to get the first choice first round overall, and I was drafting the last in the first round, so I was able to get Collins and Parker for me, and then I constructed around them.
Yeah. And for me, I got a couple of Star Wars players. I got a couple of IG players, and the rest are all like singles and teams players. But I got done a lot to Ethan Irwin, JT, Saul, Ben. I got a lot of good heavy hitters. The only new one that I have is Brother Luminous, so I hope he does well.
Yeah, and it's ridiculous how much Roka went like 6th round, 7th round. It's we couldn't believe it.
Don't tell him that.
Oh, no, I won't.
I'm gonna one-up Frenchie on my bragging. I traded some draft picks, and I had my first 4 picks in the first 2 rounds. So I had my core set right away. So I was proud of myself on that.
Yeah, but see, that's the cool thing, and it's funny too, because I remember how like when you first started doing all this, you were doing after shows for SCN and Collider Live, and it wasn't really Schmoedown for you. And then it's amazing how like you listen to like Shug and how that stuff, I like once you get, especially as a sports guy, like once you figure out, oh wait, now I get it. It's like almost like this is so much more. That cat's going nuts back there.
It's my baby girl.
Yeah. Oh, is that your baby?
Yeah. It's my little Luna Jade.
Oh, I thought it was a cat.
Well,
Same size.
Well, you know what? I'll tell her when she gets older that the godfather of anything else in Schmoedown called her a cat. So
I thought it was a cat. Yeah, no, it's well because I'm so used to all these competitors having cats. Bibiani has cats all the time running around the place. So that, but you know, but with the baby, I sympathize, man. I got 2 kids, so you can't control when they decide they want to do exactly that. Yeah.
Anyway, you got some more time? Do some more messages?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right.
Hey, Christian, this is Luke Steddard from Galaxy Geeks. I had a question. So what made you to decide to get rid of the timeout rule? I completely understand on the production side, but at what point did you realize that y'all could not do it in a match?
Digital. It just is. It's one thing. It's one thing in a studio. If you're in a studio and Mark and I are on the desk, and someone says, "Okay, timeout," and Kaiser calls a timeout to talk to Merle, and he's on the side talking to Merle. As he's doing that in the timeout during that time, I'm turning to Mark and saying, "All right, Mark. Well, right now you got to figure that Kaiser's going over this, and this," and we're able to talk and fill the time and let the audience know what's going on as they're listening. As the energy can still stay contained because Mark and I are driving it. In digital, what are you watching? Are you going to listen to Kaiser and them talk, or is he going to call him on the phone? Is it just going to be a dead air? It would just halt the action completely, and that's also why we cut out a lot of the manager talk in the beginning. Like if you notice, there was no interviews from the manager up top. You see them in between 1 and 2. You see them in between rounds 1, 2, 2 and 3, and then the post interview. And we ask a question or two to the competitors, and then we just go. Match it. We cut out 15 minutes, and it's like go. Let's get to the match. Let's do that. Have the drama, have the promos, have all that. But like in the middle of a match, and this whole thing. Oh yeah, like timeout. Okay, then what do we do? I don't know. Well, let's listen. Let's listen to you and Merle talk while the fans are waiting for the question. It's like it was terrible. So we're just like, no, just going to cut this completely.
Yeah, makes sense to me.
Yeah.
Not that my opinion matters, but but hey, I guess on the flip side of that, if that makes sense to me, then that's totally a win, right? I mean, I understand something.
That's one for Jay Wade.
Yeah. Let's go to another message here.
So, question: how would in-faction members play each other if it's like a tournament match or a tournament finals? Like, let's say Chance versus like Intergeekdom finals, or a round between Liz and Drew. Would Triple J work with that, or no? Can you clarify on that?
Yeah, a lot of these came in right at the beginning.
Yeah, because just to reiterate, that's the whole point. There won't be triple threats at all during tournaments at all. So there's nothing to really explain there, I guess.
And before we play another one, there's one scenario for me that breaks my mind thinking about it. The possibility of maybe even having like a Myra versus Chance versus Kalinowski. That I would pay so much to see that.
That would be interesting.
Or yeah, imagine Mara versus Chance. I mean, look, and then what if there's a scenario next year, where it's a fatal four, and once again you're going to it's your first event. You're able to go to, let's say, Boston. First time we're going to be there. You're going to go to Boston, and it's going to be a fatal four-way for the Intergeekdom title. Mara Konopik versus Mike Kalinowski versus Chandru versus Smets on his return. Wow. You're gonna you guys lose your minds.
Oh man,
it's like, I feel really stupid now that I didn't. I feel really stupid.
But I've told you multiple times, you just don't listen to me. It takes Christian, and with good matter, it takes Christian to convince you. But these are all the things I told you already, bro.
I don't know what to say now. I don't know what to say now. But yeah,
yeah, doesn't matter, Jay, because you guys won.
Damn. Well, I'm sorry. You won now. No, I just, like I said, I don't understand how the rankings and how the matches are determined in like the wrestling UFC styles of sports. I don't understand it. It's foreign to me.
Yeah, and I get it. I mean, you're like a football, baseball guy, right?
Yeah.
I understand that, and that's the same. And I get that from some of my football, baseball competitors and managers. Like Roxy is openly says it all the time. Like every manager should get the same amount of matches for the whole league. And like, if we did it that way, you would never have championship matches, and you would never do the contender system. Now, what I have been doing, and you guys will notice this over the first couple of months, is that the factions will get the equal amount of matches to start the season. Like I'm going through it, and I'm like, okay, Swag has about 5 or 6 matches here, so do they, 5 or 6. Okay, the contenders match them up. But as they start winning, it's going to change because the contenders jump up. So if an Intergeekdom competitor goes 2-0 on a faction, it's like, oh, well, even though that person's 3-0 and deserves a title match, they can't have a title match because the 0-3 guy, the 0-3 team, they keep losing, but they don't have an equal amount of matches. So you're basically sacrificing everything you guys just said before of saying, okay, well, even though they're winning, they don't have the same amount of matches, so they can't play. Because imagine Snyder and Merle, and I use this example often, but Snyder and Merle at the end, every faction, it's determined that every faction is going to get 30 matches. So the last match of the season before the Spectacular is Snyder and Merle. It's the 30th match for the Stars. It's the 30th match for the Dungeon. And then Snyder wins. He gets a shot at the title, right? Nope, because that'll be his 31st match, and that won't be fair to the last place team who has only 26 matches. It's like, what? That's not how the fighting, that's not how boxing, that's not how UFC works or MMA works. It's a ranking system, and it's different because those sports don't do what we do. They don't put people on factions. They don't have rankings. This is the way that I had envisioned doing something like this for boxing years ago, because that's how I feel boxing could be fixed. Boxing so corrupt with all these different divisions. What the UFC did very smart back in the day was UFC put together all the fighters in one organization. You can only fight in their organization, and inside of that organization, Dana White and the committee would say, okay, that's who you got to fight, or you don't win the championship. In boxing, it became so crooked of like, well, I'm going to fight the number 6 contender for $40 million, and I'm just going to duck the number 1 contender because that won't bring as much money. And if you did all that differently, and you also said, okay, look, let's take, imagine our system in something like the UFC, right? You grab a bunch of welterweights, you grab heavyweights, you grab all these people, and you do essentially the same thing that we're doing, but you wouldn't have equal amount of every faction. Every faction gets X amount of fights. It's like, no, who's going to win? So-and-so just got a knockout and just won. He's going to fight for the heavyweight championship. So that faction benefits. And that's kind of the same way that we structured it. And I think most people understand that. The traditional sports people are trying to figure it out, but I think the more and more they understand the system, they're starting to get it. But like, we can never do equal amount of matches. It's like this. It's the same argument you guys just made before. It's like, draft well, have your players win, and you'll be playing for the faction championship.
Don't generalize. Good Lord, what happened there? Why am I echoing? Oh,
I don't hear an echo.
Oh, I hear an echo.
That's all right. I don't hear an echo on my end.
Okay, well, I'll just tolerate it. Damn it! Now I lost my thought. Damn you, echo.
Think about it. We'll go to another question real quick, Frenchie.
So I just want to make sure I understand this correctly. So hypothetically, say there's an IG tournament. Mara is still IG champion. Robert Parker wins the IG tournament. He can either do the triple threat match or he can hold on to that title shot. Is that correct? And how long can he hold on to it?
That's what I wanted. Now, no. Now it's he plays Mara and the Dungeon would pick up an automatic 14, potentially 15 points, and potentially just win the whole thing right there. So I think it sucks, but that's what they voted on.
Yeah. Did you think of it, Frenchie?
Oh, give me a second. The people apparently hear it as well.
Yeah, I think it might be on YouTube.
Anyone on YouTube right now, if ever still the case, please let us know, because they don't hear it. I hear it. But let us know, and we'll try to fix it, or I'll just shut the fuck up for the rest of the time.
All right. Here's another question here.
Fired up.
Quite get that one out.
Fired up. That's from.
Okay, I can definitely get Christian where you're coming from. Explain the whole situation, why. And yeah, it's going to be difficult for fans to want to get over. I mean, why would someone, let's say if Mara's still champion IG, and then Parker from the Dungeon goes up to get an IG shot, it would make no sense to most people why Kaiser would have to wait when he has a #1 contendership in his pocket. But the way you're going through it, it makes plenty of sense, because then Kaiser, win or lose, if Mara loses the championship, Parker has a #1 contendership in his back pocket. And also, if I would to quote Game of Thrones, Tyrion Lannister, some people are just new to strategy and some are just learning it. So it makes a lot of sense. Like, the managers are getting less pressure on them and more time to focus on their players.
I agree. And I think that people didn't understand it. And everybody was just, I thought everybody was going to get it. And I was like, okay, people are going to love this, because now this is going to open up so many possibilities of really fun, crazy matches and big point opportunities. And it was just like, people were like, no, they should earn it. I'm like, oh, forget it. And I just said to the managers, like, you guys choose. And the managers didn't really get it either, obviously, because I think that there was only 2 or 3 of them that really understood what it was, because I'm telling you though, I will bet everything that I have they're going to, and because even the one manager who was against it, well, not one, but the one that was really in the text group said, I'll go with what everyone's saying here, but people are going to be pissed off at the end of the year if someone's just awarded 14 points. I said, I know. That's why I'm just saying, not my fault. I chose against it.
Yeah.
So I'm that Homer Simpson meme backing into the grass.
Well, let's take one more here, Christian. How's that sound to you?
Sure, go ahead.
All right.
But what about the spoilers?
Oh,
exactly. Oh, that was another one. That was another one. What a ridiculous! That one I'm blue in the face with already. I can't deal with anymore.
Yeah, that's one I can't wrap my head around. I mean, it's we're treating it like every other sport, man. You're gonna watch it live, then I mean, I don't know that. Yes, that one makes no sense to me either.
Yeah, it's not a movie. It's not a movie.
Yeah. I think we're gonna wrap it up here. I know I have about an hour-long one-way drive I need to make here pretty soon. And you've been very generous with your time, Christian. We really appreciate it.
You got it, guys. It was a pleasure.
Yeah. Are there any final thoughts you'd like to say, or clarify anything, or anything else at all that you'd like to let people know about, Christian?
No, I would just say, I've been working. I'm working on all these matches that we're putting together. We got some really great ones. The rookies are going to be coming in. We got some great pay-per-views. I would say that if you have never listened to, or if you haven't been part of the Patreon, you really should, especially once. Like, again, perfect example for that is like the free for all this year is probably going to be $9.99, right? Because it's just such a massive event, and it's like it's just so much time and effort that's put into it. So the free for all itself is worth $9.99. The other 2 pay-per-views are like either $5 or $6.99. I forget, but either way, that's anywhere in probably close to $30, right? When you add it all up. If you're a $10 patron, you get all 3 of them for $10.
Yeah,
for the month. So that alone is worth it. And then obviously the thing is that I really want, like, if you guys, for all the people out there that are talking about the competitors and caring so much about the competitors getting their shots and everything too, you also want to like this is why we made it to show to the audience this year that you guys are going to decide what these people are playing for this year. So when you get those awesome sweatshirts and the t-shirts and all that, and you go to the Skybound store and you pick up some Faction merch, when a percentage of that merch goes, the profits, go to that pool, you guys are going to determine what they're playing for.
Mm-hmm.
So just keep that in mind. If you guys want to support the players and the factions and the managers and everything too, that's the best way that you can do it.
Awesome.
All right. So since we're wrapping it up, just a reminder to everyone listening and watching, if you're not subscribed to Schmoes of the North, go check us out. We do a lot of fun content, and we really try to just bring some lightness to the Schmoedown universe reaction side. And just before I give it back to Dan, I just wanted to, me and the boys from Schmoes of the North, I wanted just to tell you directly how much it is a blessing, and we are honored for all your support and love you gave us. We really, really appreciate it, Mr. Harloff.
Oh, you got it, man. Thank you guys for being so passionate. Really appreciate the love and the back and forth. That you guys do have that. You got that kind of ESPN sports feel when the two of you guys go at it. So it's always reminds me. It's like, Jay, you become like my Le Batard. Every time, I always wanted to hear what he was going to say, but I never agree with anything he said.
I'll take it. I'll take it as a huge win in my book.
Yeah,
and I'll take the fact that you agree with me most times. So I'm happy.
Yeah, no, it's a massive compliment.
Yes, thank you, Dan. Why don't you tell folks where they can find you at?
You can find me on Twitter and Stereo simply at Dan Dolinsky. Simple as that. And you can find me here on every Saturday. Speaking of Schmoedown, talking Schmoedown, running numbers, and maybe agreeing with one of these. No, that maybe there's one more than the other one. But
He's pointing at me. Yay.
He's pointing to Frenchie. He
I
agrees. with
sometimes get across, but I do mostly agree with Frenchie most of the time. But I do show some Jason love. But yeah, you can find me here as well.
And like I said, every Saturday we go live at 11:30 a.m. Pacific time, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time for an hour and a half. We got Laura Kelly coming on the show this week. We'll go ahead and say now we had Ace scheduled also, but he had some work come up, so we will be rescheduling him. But please subscribe to this channel, the JCast Network. Help us out. Help us get to 100 here by the end of the month. I think we can do it.
Oh, yeah.
We're 50 or so. And also here on stereo, we broadcast our show on YouTube and on stereo simultaneously. That's right, stereo listeners. You can get the full show, the intro theme song, the full four-person crew, and our guest on stereo. So yeah, check us out there. Christian, once again, thank you very much for your time. This was very last minute, and we appreciate it very much.
Yeah, of course, guys. Anytime. Thank you.
You're welcome, sir. Have a great day, Christian.
Bonsoir.
You too. Bye, guys.
Bye.
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 And that was Christian Harloff, everyone. That was great. That was really great. Very last minute, and we really appreciate him and his time and everything that he does for the Schmodown community, which is everything. He and Mark Ellis, thank both of them very much. And that's it for us here. We're going to wrap it up, and like I said before, we will be back Saturday for our regular show. It's a straight up sports talk show, guys. We got segments, hard questions, Frenchie's Corner. Obviously, you heard Christian say I have some pretty hot ass takes that he's not into. Double D does a segment called Sexy Numbers. He goes over the numbers with us, and he'll be updating us each week on what is going on with the standings and points received to who. So please follow us, support us, and until, well, I would say next week, but until a couple days from now, everyone, be safe. You want to hear something funny? The mic wasn't on that whole time.
No way.
Yeah, for real.
Oh, wow.
So smooth.